Stand in front of the mirror, look yourself in the eyes. Now tell yourself that you are successful, that you are a leader, that you are an unstoppable force. Sounds familiar, does it not? This is the exact advice aggressively pushed by the modern self-help industry, and it is a complete, absolute lie. You are making a fatal mistake if you believe that repeating words you know are false will somehow magically rewire your identity. Your brain is not stupid. It is a highly advanced lie detector. When your words do not match your reality, you do not build confidence. You build cognitive dissonance. You are watching this video because you are tired of the superficial advice that works for no one. You sense that there is a deeper, more brutal, but far more effective way to forge a new identity, a method that does not require you to lie to yourself. Today, we are going to explore the elite principles of identity transformation. This is the hidden truth about mental superiority that only 1% of men truly grasp. It requires confronting the cold, hard facts of who you are right now. Tell me in the comments below, what is the biggest lie you have been telling yourself lately? Be honest, because honesty is where the elite begin. Modern men are facing an unprecedented crisis of identity. You are bombarded daily by images of fake perfection, hollow alpha male posturing, and shallow success. Society tells you to either accept your mediocrity and be vulnerable, or to put on a mask of arrogant bravado to hide your insecurities. Both paths are traps designed to keep you weak, emotional, and easily manipulated. You feel this tension. You feel the gap between the man you are and the man you know you are meant to be. This gap breeds anxiety, hesitation, and a deep-seated lack of self-respect. The problem is that when you try to fix this, you are handed tools made of plastic. Positive thinking, vision boards, and empty affirmations. These tools shatter the moment you face real adversity. To survive and dominate in the modern world, you do not need ancient history lessons, but you do need the core engine of Stoic philosophy, the total separation of objective reality from emotional narrative. You need a system to rebuild your self-image from the ground up, using bricks of undeniable evidence, rather than the sand of wishful thinking. You are about to enter a process of psychological reconstruction. It will be uncomfortable, but it is the only path to true, quiet, unbreakable strength. The myth of the mirror and the failure of affirmations. Let us completely dismantle the concept of fake it until you make it. When a man who is severely out of shape and financially broken looks in the mirror and says, "I am a wealthy athlete," his subconscious mind immediately rebels. It looks at his bank account, it looks at his waistline, it looks at his daily habits, and it rejects the affirmation with extreme prejudice. This internal rejection causes deep psychological damage. It reinforces the belief that you are a fraud. The Stoic approach is entirely different. A Stoic does not lie about his current state. He embraces the objective truth, no matter how ugly it is. If you want to change your self-image, you must start by stopping the lies. You must accept your current coordinates on the map of life before you can chart a course to a new destination. This is what separates the strong man from the delusional boy. The strong man can look at his failures, his weaknesses, and his flaws without flinching and without making excuses. The concept of the Stoic audit. Imagine yourself not as a human being with feelings, but as a corporation that is currently failing. If you were hired to save this corporation, you would not walk into the boardroom and tell everyone they are doing a great job. You would demand the ledgers, you would audit the accounts. You must do the exact same thing with your own life. Conduct a ruthless Stoic audit. What are your actual habits? What do you consume? How do you spend your time? Write it down. Look at the data without any emotional attachment. Do not say, "I am a lazy failure." That is an emotional judgment. Instead, say, "I spend 4 hours a day scrolling on my phone instead of working." That is an objective fact. By removing the emotional poison from your self-assessment, you strip away the shame. Shame paralyzes you. Facts simply instruct you. This is the foundation of emotional control. Seeing things exactly as they are, neither better nor worse. Separating action from emotion. The great tragedy of the modern man is that he believes he must feel motivated in order to take action. He waits for the perfect mood, the sudden burst of inspiration, or the right planetary alignment to start working on his goals. This is a slave mentality. Your emotions are chaotic, unpredictable weather patterns. If you tie your actions to your emotions, your life will be chaotic and unpredictable. The elite mindset demands the complete separation of doing from feeling. You must train yourself to act in direct opposition to how you feel. When you wake up tired and your mind begs you to stay in bed, you recognize the feeling, you accept the feeling, and then you step out of bed anyway. This is not about punishing yourself. It is about proving to your subconscious mind that your emotions do not sit on the throne. Your will sits on the throne. This daily practice of overriding your impulses is what permanently alters your self-image. You are the architect of your identity, and your actions are the bricks. Many men believe that identity is something you are born with, or something that is magically bestowed upon you by a sudden realization. This is entirely false. Your identity is simply the sum total of your consistent actions over time. You are not what you think about. You are not what you plan to do. You are only what you do. If you write every day, you are a writer. If you train every day, you are an athlete. If you lie every day, you are a liar. Therefore, to change your self-image, you do not need to change your thoughts first. You need to change your actions first. The thoughts will naturally follow. When you begin to act like a disciplined man, even if you feel like an imposter on day 1, by day 100, the evidence will be so overwhelming that your brain will have no choice but to accept the new reality. You literally build a new self-image through raw, undeniable action. Delusion versus reality and the danger of potential. We often hear men say, "I have so much potential." Potential is the most dangerous word in the English language. It is a comforting blanket that protects you from the freezing cold of your current lack of achievement. Having potential means absolutely nothing if it is not actualized. It is just an imaginary trophy for a race you have not even entered. To forge a mental fortitude that belongs in the top 1%, you must kill the concept of potential in your mind. Judge yourself solely on your actual measurable output. This sounds harsh, but it is incredibly liberating. When you stop hiding behind what you could be, you are forced to confront what you are. And that confrontation breeds action. You stop being a spectator of your own imagined greatness and become an active participant in your actual struggle. This shift from dreaming of potential to executing in reality is a hallmark of true stoic power. Building the unstoppable evidence board. True, unbreakable confidence is not a feeling. It is a portfolio of undeniable proof. Imagine a detective standing in front of a courtboard, pinning up pieces of evidence to solve a crime. You must build an evidence board for your own mind. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you pin up a piece of evidence. Every time you go to the gym when you are exhausted. Every time you choose the hard task over the easy distraction. Every time you control your temper in a heated argument, you are adding undeniable proof to the board. When doubt creeps in, and it will, you do not fight it with empty positive thoughts. You point your brain to the evidence board. You say, "Look at the past 90 days. Look at the work. Look at the discipline." The brain cannot argue with physical evidence. This is how you change your self-image without lying. You simply outwork your own self-doubt until the doubt looks ridiculous. Erasing the victim narrative from your vocabulary. The weak man loves the victim narrative. It is comfortable. If everything is society's fault, or his parents' fault, or the economy's fault, then he does not have to do the heavy lifting of changing himself. But the price of this comfort is total powerlessness. If you do not own the problem, you cannot own the solution. The stoic man takes extreme ownership of his current situation, even if it is not technically his fault. It does not matter who broke it. It only matters who is going to fix it. And that person is you. To join the elite, You must brutally purge all complaining from your speech and your thoughts. When you stop verbalizing complaints, you stop feeding the victim identity, you replace "why is this happening to me" with "what am I going to do about it?" This subtle shift in language completely rewires your relationship with adversity, turning obstacles into raw material for your own growth. The immense power of neutral observation. We are conditioned to attach extreme labels to everything. If we fail a test, we are stupid. If we get rejected, we are unlovable. This emotional exaggeration destroys the self-image. The elite mindset utilizes neutral observation. Imagine you are a scientist looking at a rat in a maze. If the rat hits a dead end, the scientist does not call the rat a failure. He simply notes that the right turn was incorrect. You must observe your own life with this same cold, clinical neutrality. When you make a mistake, remove the personal insult. Instead of saying, "I am an idiot for losing that client," say, "My communication lacked clarity in that meeting." The first statement attacks your identity and makes you weak. The second statement identifies a mechanical flaw that can be easily fixed. Neutrality is a superpower. It allows you to process negative feedback without taking emotional damage. The trap of the grand declaration. Many men, when they decide to change their lives, make loud, public declarations. They post on social media. They tell all their friends, "I am waking up at 5 in the morning from now on. I am going to build an empire." This is a biological trap. When you announce your plans, your brain releases a hit of dopamine, making you feel as if you have already achieved the goal. You get the reward without doing the work. The result? Your motivation vanishes the very next morning. The stoic path is silent. The 1% of men operate in the shadows. They do not announce their evolution. They let their results make the noise. If you want to change your self-image, shut your mouth and get to work. The isolation of silent effort builds a massive amount of internal respect. When you know you are grinding in the dark while everyone else is seeking attention, your self-image naturally elevates to a position of quiet dominance. Stacking micro-evidences of strength. The massive transformation you seek will not happen overnight. It is an illusion sold by movie montages. Real transformation is terrifyingly boring. It is the result of thousands of micro-decisions made correctly over a long period of time. You do not wake up a new man. You build him, piece by piece. Start with the smallest possible promises. Make your bed perfectly. Drink a glass of water immediately upon waking. Read 10 pages of a complex book. These sound trivial, but they are psychological heavyweights. When you consistently execute micro-habits, you are constantly sending a signal to your subconscious. I am a man who does what he says he will do. This is the very definition of integrity. As your integrity with yourself grows, your self-image shifts from unreliable to rock solid. You begin to trust yourself, and self-trust is the absolute core of unshakable male confidence. The elite isolation and the danger of external validation. Your current self-image is likely built on what other people think of you. If they praise you, you feel like a king. If they criticize you, you feel like a peasant. This means you have handed the remote control of your emotions to random people. This is the ultimate form of psychological slavery. To forge a stoic identity, you must actively detach your self-worth from external feedback. You must enter a period of elite isolation, not necessarily physical, but mental. You decide the metrics of your success. If your goal was to work deeply for 4 hours, and you did it, you win. Even if the output is not praised by the world yet, you must learn to become your own hardest critic and your own source of validation. When your self-image is anchored solely to your own internal standards, no one can insult you, and no one can manipulate you with empty praise. Rewriting the internal monologue. You are in constant conversation with yourself. For most men, this monologue is a steady stream of anxiety, doubt, and harsh self-criticism. You speak to yourself in a way you would never allow another man to speak to you. This must end today. You cannot build an elite identity if your internal voice is a coward. You must consciously rewrite the script. This is not about fake positivity. It is about strategic coaching. When you are struggling under a heavy weight at the gym, your internal voice should not say, "This is too hard, I cannot do it." It should say, "This is exactly what weakness leaving the body feels like." Push. You must become a ruthless, demanding, but ultimately supportive coach to yourself. Catch the weak thoughts as they arise, pause, and actively replace them with strategic, analytical thoughts. Over time, this conscious effort becomes your default state, radically altering how you perceive your own capabilities. Embracing the uncomfortable truth about your flaws. Everyone has massive character flaws. The weak man tries to hide them, deny them, or dress them up as virtues. He says, "I am not disorganized. I am just a creative genius." This self-deception prevents any real growth. The strong man brings his flaws out into the light. He examines them meticulously. You must learn to look at your darkest, most embarrassing traits with complete, stoic calmness. Yes, I am easily angered. Yes, I lack discipline in my diet. Yes, I am afraid of rejection. Admitting these things does not make you weak. It makes you incredibly dangerous, because once a flaw is acknowledged and accepted as a mechanical reality, it can be systematically destroyed and replaced. You can only fix a machine when you know exactly which gears are broken. The man who refuses to lie to himself about his weaknesses is the only man capable of turning them into weapons of strength. The stoic separation of past and present. One of the greatest anchors holding men back is their own history. You view yourself through the lens of your past failures. You think, "I failed 3 businesses, so I am a terrible entrepreneur." The past does not exist. It is a memory, a ghost in your mind. The Stoic understands that the present moment is the only arena of action. You must violently separate who you were yesterday from who you are today. Your past does not dictate your future unless you allow it to write the script for your present. Every morning you wake up, you are granted a blank slate. You are not the man who failed yesterday. You are the man who has the opportunity to execute today. By severing the emotional attachment to past defeats, you free up massive amounts of mental energy. You stop paying interest on dead debts. You invest everything into the execution of the current day. This is how you outpace your own history. Forging the iron mind through deliberate discomfort. Comfort is the greatest enemy of a strong self-image. If you live a life wrapped in soft blankets, easy entertainment, and instant gratification, your mind becomes fragile. You subconsciously know that you are weak because you have never tested yourself. To change your self-image to that of a resilient warrior, you must voluntarily introduce strict discomfort into your daily routine. Take freezing cold showers. Lift heavy weights until your muscles fail. Fast for 24 hours. Have that difficult conversation you have been avoiding. Deliberate discomfort acts as a vaccine against the chaos of life. When you purposefully put yourself in difficult situations and survive them, you are sending a powerful message to your brain. You are saying, "I am built for adversity. I do not break under pressure." This raw, physical proof overrides any lingering feelings of inadequacy or weakness. The mathematics of confidence. We need to demystify confidence. It is not a magical aura that some men are born with. It is simple mathematics. It is an equation of inputs and outputs. If your inputs are junk food, cheap dopamine, lack of sleep, and avoidance of effort, your output will be anxiety, depression, and a fragile self-image. If your inputs are rigorous training, deep focused work, nutritional discipline, and stoic reading, your output will be high energy, sharp focus, and quiet confidence. It is impossible to feel like a loser when you are stacking elite habits every single day. The math simply does not allow it. Therefore, stop worrying about how you feel and start aggressively managing your inputs. Be ruthless about what you allow into your mind and your body. Control the variables of the equation, and the result of a powerful self-image is absolutely mathematically guaranteed. Discarding the fake alpha persona. The internet is flooded with caricatures of masculinity, loud, arrogant men demanding respect, flashing superficial wealth, and dominating conversations to prove their worth. This is not strength. This is profound insecurity wearing a loud suit. The true stoic, the man operating at the highest level of psychological power, is incredibly quiet. He does not need to tell you he is dangerous. You feel it in his presence. He does not demand respect. His competence commands it naturally. If you are trying to change your self-image by acting tough, you're just building another layer of delusion. Drop the act. True power requires no performance. It is rooted in deep self-knowledge and proven capability. Focus entirely on building the substance, the skills, the discipline, the intellect. When the substance is real, the aura of strength takes care of itself. You become a force of nature rather than a man pretending to be a storm. The daily death of the old self. Transformation is not a single event. It is a violent, daily process. You must be willing to let the old version of yourself die every single day. The man who loved comfort, the man who made excuses, the man who gave into emotional outbursts, he must be constantly executed. This requires profound emotional control. When the old habits try to rise from the grave, when the urge to quit whispers in your ear, you must view it as an enemy trying to breach your walls. You must ruthlessly cut it down. This daily battle is exhausting at first, but it is the crucible where an elite mindset is forged. You cannot carry the baggage of your old weaknesses into your new kingdom. You must practice the daily death. Let go of the comforting narratives that kept you small. Embrace the cold, demanding reality of the man you are choosing to become. The pain of this death is nothing compared to the agony of a wasted life. The perpetual evolution and the illusion of the finish line. One of the biggest traps in self-improvement is the belief that one day you will arrive. You think that once you build the perfect body, make $1 million, or achieve total mental peace, the work will be done. This is a fatal misconception. There is no finish line. The Stoic path is one of perpetual evolution. The moment you think you have mastered yourself is the exact moment you begin to decay. The top 1% of men understand that the joy is not in the destination, but in the relentless climbing. Your self-image should not be tied to a static goal, but to the identity of a lifelong student and a relentless worker. You are a machine that constantly seeks optimization. When you achieve a massive goal, you do not celebrate for a month. You acknowledge the victory, recalibrate your systems, and set a harder target. This perpetual motion keeps you sharp, humble, and endlessly powerful. The final integration. When the new reality becomes your default. After months and years of enforcing these rigorous Stoic principles, a profound shift occurs. The relentless discipline, the neutral observation, the deliberate discomfort, they cease to be things you do. They become who you are. This is the final integration. You no longer have to force yourself to be stoic. You simply react to the world with cold precision and unshakable calmness. The old, emotional, reactive man feels like a distant stranger. You look in the mirror and you do not need to speak any affirmations. The silence is enough. Your posture, your eyes, your reality, they all reflect the truth of your undeniable competence. You have successfully changed your self-image without a single lie. You have done the impossible. You have taken the raw, chaotic material of your human nature and forged it into a weapon of elite mental superiority. This is the ultimate victory. The path we have walked today is not for the faint of heart. It is a brutal, demanding process that requires you to strip away every comfortable lie you have ever told yourself. But it is the only path that leads to true, unshakable power. You now understand that changing your self-image is not about standing in front of a mirror reciting empty words. It is about auditing your life with cold Stoic logic, building an undeniable board of evidence through daily disciplined action, and discarding the weak emotional victim narrative. You are the architect of your reality. The bricks are your actions, and the mortar is your discipline. I want to thank you for staying until the end. It proves you have the attention span and the hunger that 99% of modern men lack. Now the theory ends and the execution begins. Do not let this video be just another hit of digital dopamine. Apply these principles today Subscribe to this channel to remain connected to the elite mindset. Like this video to solidify your commitment. And before you leave, answer this question in the comments. What is the very first micro action you will take today to build undeniable proof of your new identity? Step into the arena. The world belongs to the disciplined.